Hey guys, in this video, we're going to discuss exactly what one of the largest expenses is, as well as how you can save thousands of dollars per year by understanding the components of this cost and how you can actually make money with all those savings that you have. Now, we all know that most households have the same kind of major expenses, and that's going to be housing, transportation, taxes, utilities, and food, etc. So if we can save big on these categories, we're going to save a lot of money. Now guess what the first wealth-consuming factor is that no one talks about? Well, it's actually transportation, and it varies from person to person. So cars are huge, you can say, plagues on your wealth, and the major reason is having a really nice car or a nice ride is associated more as a status symbol in the social setup. And a lot of people buy luxury cars, which are more expensive than they can actually afford, because of status. Now, we're not really too aware of the financial impacts that it actually brings, and in 2023, used car prices are up again by 2.5% in January, month over month. Now, 15.7% of people who finance a new car in the fourth quarter of 2022 committed to a monthly payment of more than $1,000 a month, which is the highest that it's ever been recorded. And in addition to that, we're still seeing crazy dealer markups on many cars that are in demand. So this Porsche right here has a $250,000 markup, which is almost the price of the car itself. Insane, isn't it? Lastly, the average cost of ownership to operate and own a car according to AAA in 2022 is $10,728 a year. So let that sink in a little bit. That's a lot of money. Let's actually outline some of these expenses of owning a car and then discuss how to save money in every single one of these categories. All right, this is a 2018 Honda Civic here, and as you can see, the true cost to own over 5 years is $43,993, which is just shy of $8,800 a year. Now, a Honda Civic is a pretty economic car. It's not insanely expensive. It's also 5 years old. It's not like a flashy BMW that every person in their 20s really wants. But you know, it's still quite pricey to even own this economical car, as the average American salary is roughly $54,000 a year. So imagine owning a used car, and every single year, it's taking up 16% of your gross salary. It's going to be really hard to build wealth and compound your savings if we're continually living outside of our means, especially when it comes to car ownership, even with an economic car. All right, so let's actually break down the costs here. So 99% of cars will depreciate or basically have a reduction in their asset value over time. Now, why investing your money in a car is really bad is because as soon as you invest that money into a car and you drive it off the lot, the value of that car goes down by 10 to 15%. So essentially, you're putting your money in something that's bound to go down. Now, the sweet spot to buy a car is somewhere in the 3 to 5 years used range. So when it comes to cars, if you want to save a lot of money on depreciation, you want to buy a car that's used about 3 to 4 years old and may have between 30 to 40,000 miles on it. This is when most of the depreciation's been chipped off already, but the car's still basically new enough, so it's not going to run into a lot of problems with maintenance and repairs right away. All right, the next biggest category is taxes and fees. Generally, every car that's going to have some sort of taxes and registration fees every single year. If you're a family with multiple cars, one way to reduce this cost is to just reduce the number of cars that you own. It's a lot easier said than done, but there are families with 2 or 3 people who own 4 to 5 cars. That could save you a bunch of money here by saving the fees on every single year in registration as well. For example, in California, you also have to pass a smog check pretty regularly, which can also add up. But in general, you can't really avoid taxes and fees, so it's pretty hard to save money here. The next option is financing, especially in reference to interest payments, especially when you go and finance a car. Not many people will buy a car up front with $30,000, $40,000, or $50,000. So most people put up $5,000, maybe $7,000 down on a car, and then they finance the rest with interest as well as the loan. The interest fees are going to be super high these days because the interest rates keep on climbing and climbing. So right now, I believe if you have good credit, the interest rate on a car is between 6 and 6.5%. If you have bad credit, that interest rate's going to be even higher. And at that point, you really shouldn't even try to buy or finance a new car. Regardless of if you finance, lease, or you own the car outright, the next biggest category here is fuel. This is something that people don't always count on when it comes to their monthly payments. Gas costs almost $200 a month. So if we look at the cost of fuel just for the Honda Civic here, it's $12,807 over 5 years. That's an extra 25.61% per year, and that's assuming you drive it 15,000 miles a year. Now, there's not really that much you can do when it comes to saving money on gas. You could get a Costco membership and always fill up at Costco. It is a lot cheaper to fill up, as you could save between $5 and $8 every time you fill up, and that could add up over time. You could also buy an electric car, but that's not always feasible. And honestly, electric cars are really expensive these days. Hopefully in 10 to 20 years, everything's going to be moving towards electric and more fuel efficiency. Now, insurance for this Honda Civic is $6,949 for 5 years, or about $115 every month. Now, the thing with car insurance is that many places will offer you similar or even equal insurance to your current provider, and every insurance company knows that. So what you can do once a year is, let's say you have AAA insurance, you can use that AAA insurance policy that you have, call around to different places, call State Farm, call Progressive, call Geico, see if you can get a better rate for your exact same coverage. Oftentimes, these companies are going to try to undercut each other, and often you'll get a better deal, saving you a lot of money in the short and the long run. Alright, so repairs and maintenance are the final two parts here, and these are hard costs to really reduce unless you know what you're doing around a car. With YouTube tutorials these days, you can actually learn how to do basic maintenance on your car if you're willing to learn and put the time in and the effort. For example, changing your oil. It's not super difficult. You could watch any tutorial and you can learn how to change your oil, and then every subsequent time you change your oil, you're probably going to save between $100, $125, $150 on labor. If you think about how many times you'll have to change your oil in your lifetime, it's going to save you a bunch of money in the long run. Cars are supposed to get their oil changed every almost 3,000 miles. So let's say you drive 15,000 miles a year, that's 5 oil changes per year. Now imagine you're 30 years old right now, and you want to drive until you're 75. That's the hard stop. That's 45 years of oil changes, or about 200 oil changes. That means you're saving $20,000 over the course of your life by doing it yourself. Now that depends on you, if you like, working on your car or whatever. Another thing you can do is whenever your check engine light comes on, no need to run to the dealership. You can actually buy one of those OB2 scanners yourself online. Once you figure out the problem, you can then assess what you actually want to do. Now the last tip here is that if you can go without a car, that actually might be the best ultimate solution that you can have. So let's pretend you don't have a car, and let's say you save $10,768, or the average cost per year of ownership. And instead, you take that money and you go invest it in the stock market. Let's say in Microsoft stock. Well, Microsoft stock has done really well for the past 5 years, and it's almost tripled in that time. That means your $10,000 investment would be worth closer to $30,000, and who knows what it would be worth in another 5 or 10 years. Another thing you can consider is just living closer to where you work, so you don't have to drive as much. Even if the rent would be a little bit high, figure out if it's worth it to you in dollars and your time. It would definitely save you fuel, depreciation, maintenance, wear and tear, and all that stuff. Saving you fuel and maintenance. So a lot of people, they commute to work in their cars. That creates a lot of wear and tear, depreciation, fuel costs, etc. Just try not to succumb to owning a car that you can't really afford. Alright guys, hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.